Well, good morning there, my fellow nomads. So today is going to be my service day here in Athens. I'm partnering with an awesome group, really excited, called Boroume, and I'm going to do a little interview with Alexander, one of the guys who runs it, and then I'm going to get out there and get my hands dirty. And what they're all about is trying to eliminate food waste all around Greece, and they partner with really cool large NGOs that have too much food that they can't distribute. They take the excess. They also work with farmers, and what we're doing today is we're going to be going to a market with another group of volunteers from a company called Athens Connect, and they're like a safe space for people anywhere, I believe, from the age of like 13 all the way up to 30. Give them counseling, help them get job training, whatever they need. So that's who one of the groups that Boroume works with, and we're going to be going out with them today after I meet up with Alexander. And luckily, it's just like a 3-minute walk that way, right behind you. So yeah, I'm going to get the day started, go meet up with Alexander, chat a bit, and then get out there, go to these markets with this girl named Georgina who works for Boroume and a bunch of people from Athens Connect. Very excited. It's going to be a great day. I hope you guys stick around and watch all the great stuff that they're doing.
Hi, I'm Alexander. I'm one of the 3 founding members of NGO Boroume, and good morning. Boroume started as an initiative to do something about all the food waste that we were observing around us at a time where in 2011 things were getting worse in Greek society. We were observing more and more people facing food insecurity on the one hand. On the other hand, we were observing with our own eyes that food waste was not getting less. It was all around us. So our thought was, what can we do to reduce that food waste on the one hand? On the other hand, give it to all the people in need. So this is what created the Boroume model, which is very different from a classical food bank, so to say. We have no storage facilities. We have no transportation means, anything at all. What we do is we connect directly all the donors or everybody who has something to give with all the charities that give food out to people in need every day. We want also to increase awareness about the issue of food waste. That's why we have programs that either save food at every stage of the food chain or increase awareness in all different ways. And the most important of that is our educational program, which is called Boroume at the School, where we go to schools and speak to children, mostly elementary schools, and talk to them about food waste, about how nice it is to help other people, and how nice it is to volunteer in general. The issue of food waste is a truly global problem. It's an enormous environmental problem. Just to highlight how big of a problem it is, if food waste would be a country, it would be the 3rd biggest polluter of the world, producing 8% of all the gases that create the problems with the ozone layer, after the US and China. So you have in the world right now around 2 billion people who are overweight, and you have 890 million people who are undernourished. So there is clearly a big problem of food distribution. There are great distortions about food distribution all around the world. It's not that we lack the food for people to not be hungry, but it's a problem of distribution and market distortions. So what we're trying to do every day here is to ease up these distortions. So we will have, for example, a big, very well-known company that sells bananas, for example, and they will call us up and say, we had just a shipment arrive in Greece, a few containers with like 15 tons of bananas, and they are perfectly edible. They're in great shape, but they are too ripe for us to bring into the Greek market, because it will need days to get into stores, etc. So we can't sell them. Can you help us donate them? And when we first did that, we couldn't believe the amount of food that was just throwing into the garbage, but people just would throw so much food in dumps, and this is perfectly edible food, and this is just a shame, if not a crime, to throw that food away when so many people in the same society, in the same neighborhood, need this food and have days where they go to bed hungry. 1.5 years ago, we started one of our newest programs that is called Boroume the Farmers Market. So farmers markets in Greece are omnipresent. They are in every neighborhood, and every neighborhood is once a week a farmers market where people will go and buy fresh fruits and vegetables. So, but this is also one of the points in our society where there was an enormous food waste, and we were observing a few years ago that people who, at the end of the farmers market, when the producers were gathering their stuff and leaving the market, they would just go and pick up from the street, from the floor, whatever people were throwing out, and that was a very, very ugly picture to have in a country that otherwise is so rich, actually. And we said there is no need for anyone to go through this. There must be a decent way to save this very valuable fresh fruits and vegetables and give it to these people in a humane, decent way. And this is how we started. Excuse me. And then now we are operating with 20 farmers markets in Athens and Thessaloniki, where every week our volunteers will go gather in a systematic, organized way whatever the producers would not be able to sell, unfortunately, on that day, and they would throw away. And we give it to a local charity where people who actually from the neighborhood are in need, instead of being in the position to gather whatever is thrown out on the street, will go and have a proper meal, sit down in a very humane and decent way and get their food. As an NGO, you are always worried about fundraising. And this can be tough at times. We are worried that we are not doing a good enough job to create the necessary change in people's perception about food waste. This is always a worry that we have, and we're trying our best with our limited means to create awareness in the general public. But it takes time, because in Greek culture, our relationship with food was not similar like with Northern Europe, where people were always very careful what they would eat or what they would leave on their plate, or how much they would buy, for example. Here in Greece, we are much more generous in our relationship with food, and it's okay to do that, but it's not okay to throw so much food away. So it will take time, we know that, and we are worried that if the economy picks up again, that we will not have changed people's minds enough to change this very, very necessary perception about food. For example, we learned this in a hard way in 2015, when we were helping many organizations that were assisting refugees, but we had also many occasions where we would save food out of refugee camps that had so much food that they could not even eat it, that there was so much food, and we would take it from the refugee camps. The organizations there would give it to us, and we would give it to other charities in the area in order to help them as well, because it's all about not wasting food for us. And so what happened with the fires recently, we would just, next day we called them up, and they were already fine with all the food, all the necessary food that they needed for the people there. So what we did, instead of riding the wave of publicity in these days, as unfortunately many do, is we said we gonna put a very big reminder in our calendar in 3 months, when nobody will be talking about this issue, and we will call them up and ask them, are you okay? Do you need any food? And we are in close cooperation with the authorities there and the charities there anyway. But this is how we go about. We are all about substance and not any publicity fireworks. And this is what we did with the earthquake in Kefalonia as well a few years ago. Or the floods, and now with the fires as well. People can support us by spreading our message. This is very important through all our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. and one can always support us very, very substantially by making a donation to Boroume directly. I'm very, very happy with one particular metric that we have here, which showcases that for every euro that we get, we have as operational cost, we save and offer 45 meals, which is unbeatable as a relation, because if you would need to buy the food and cook the food and provide it through a soup kitchen in Greece, it will cost you around 3 to 3.5 euros for every meal. So for us it's €1 45 meals. Why? Because we save the food and we directly give it to the charities that are giving it then to the people, to their beneficiaries. So it really makes a difference. Every euro here or every dollar makes a difference. And especially for our friends in the US, we are blessed by one of our brilliant volunteers called Nick, and a Greek American who has set up a 501c3 organization in the US called Friends of Boroume, which means that every donation made there will go 100% to our organization, and is of course tax deductible for one who does his taxes in the US, so to say.